Hi, Tim Altman here, naturopath, breathing coach, medical therapist and paddling coach. In my last video, How Should I Eat?, I discussed general guidelines of what I consider the best general eating program based on what we've learned from nutritional research over the last 50 or so years, also based on what we've learned from genetic and anthropological research based on how we're built to live, or what's the ideal way for us to live based on what we understand from genetics and anthropology on how we've evolved and what we're best put together to. And I talked about what we call the hunter-gatherer diet, basically eating what you would have got if you lived off the land. Today I'm going to discuss how to put that together. I've had a lot of clients ask me, how do I put it together properly? And I found over the years using this sort of program that when you follow it, I've had a lot of programs. Our clients do a 1 month program where they follow it strictly for 1 month. They really give it 100% crack for 1 month and don't vary. And really we see fantastic results. Even if you don't do the 1 month, but you have a really good crack and say, do it 90% for a longer period of time, you still get great results. And what I generally find with people when they follow this sort of program is that they will find they have much better energy levels, their gut functions much better, so their bowel movements are more regular and they get less constipation, less bloating and wind, etc. Their sleep always improves. Their skin is often really, really good. Their immune system is far more robust and they get less niggles. So people who have sort of arthritic problems and what have you get less niggles. And often people feel better mental clarity, better memory, and they also find that their mood is a lot more even or a lot less up and down mood-wise. So you can see some huge benefits from eating this way. And so let's put it together today. And I'll keep it pretty quick because I can tend to go on for a bit long, as some people may say. So I'll try and make it nice and quick, just a summary. So if we look at it, we're basically trying to eat what we would have got from the land. So we're going to start with where we get our protein from, and we will get our protein from animals, whether they be animals wandering the land, red meat, or poultry, or birds, or eggs, or fish, or it could be nuts and seeds, or legumes. So what I would advise is to vary it around a fair bit so that you don't have too much of one thing, to get plenty of variety. And if you can, try and, with regards to, for example, red meat, try to make sure that it's grass-fed or organic rather than the grain-fed versions, because the quality of fat in grass-fed is much better. It's much higher in omega-3 fats. If you're going to have salmon, for example, it's very difficult to try and get non-farm salmon and non-farm fish, because once again the quality of the protein is nowhere near as good. And the general with protein is you want to try and have some protein with every meal or snack. So that would mean we would say roughly, don't go crazy on it, this is not a high protein diet, so we would say roughly a palm to a palm and a half for a meal, which is not a lot, and then maybe a half a palm for a snack, and that's all you need. And certainly the first meal of the day must have some protein, because most people, if you have, say, cereal for your first meal of the day or toast for your first meal of the day, and you don't have some protein in it, the protein helps slow down the entry of sugar into your bloodstream, and it helps keep you fuller for longer and keep your basal metabolic rate up. If you don't have some protein in your first meal of the day, you set yourself up on the hypoglycemic trail for the rest of the day, where your blood sugar levels fluctuate and vary and you end up insulin resistant, which is a disaster for energy levels, terrible for your immune system, and it makes you quite inflammatory. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, where do we get our carbohydrates from? We're aiming for 9 full handfuls of veggies and fruit a day. 6 of veggies, 3 of fruit. Of those 6 full handfuls of vegetables, that's your handful, we're going to get only 1 of those total comes from starchy veggies like potatoes, sweet potato, carrots, pumpkin, etc., etc. And the rest come from other vegetables, salad veggies, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, etc., etc., onions, etc. So that's a rough rule of thumb there. 9 handfuls of vegetables and fruit a day. 3 of fruit, 6 of veggies, 3 of fruit. Of the fruit you're going to have, make sure it's seasonal to the climate you're from. And if you do that, you won't have an issue with fruit being too high in sugar. So if I'm from a temperate climate and cold and winter here at the moment, I'd be having citrus fruits, apples, oranges, things like that. So I'm not going to have as much of a problem. Whereas if I'm having mangoes or bananas and I live in a cold climate, then yeah, they're higher in sugar. So that's, yeah, eat the fruit that is seasonal to the climate you're from, and you won't have an issue. Now, most people struggle to get 9 full handfuls of veggies and fruit a day. It's very, very difficult because we eat too much of the other carbohydrates, like, you know, grains, processed foods, you know, lots and lots of other sort of and starchy vegetables, etc. So we want to get mostly from vegetables and fruit, our carbohydrates. We're also going to have some nuts and seeds every day. Yes, they are a good source of protein, but they're also a brilliant source of good quality fats and vital nutrients, minerals, etc. And then we drink plenty of water. Herbal teas will suffice as well. Just don't add sugar to them. So plenty of water. And if you follow that program where you basically are having, you know, where you're basically having a small amount of protein with every meal or snack, and from the sources we discussed, truckloads of vegetables and fruit, some nuts and seeds every day, and water, then, and you limit, I would say for a month, try and cut out grain and added sugars and everything like that. You can have some legumes as your source of protein, etc., but try and cut out the grains and the added sugars. Maybe even reduce your dairy dramatically or cut it out altogether. If you live that way for a month, you will notice a massive difference. As I mentioned before, you will definitely have better energy levels. You will most likely sleep much better. Your mood will be better. Your gut function should be a lot better. Your skin will be better. Immune system will be a lot more robust. So it's worth a crack. Even if you don't do the 1 month challenge, just try and implement that as your general way of eating and you'll function a lot better. There are certainly variations on this way of eating and you can explore those, but I would start with this and then explore. For example, if I'm going to be a vegetarian, explore that. We're not necessarily built to do that long term, but it does work for some people if you do it well, but you have to be good at it. And that's a subject for another chat. So if you'd love to have a chat with me further or make an appointment, and I'll help you put it together properly, where you look at your current diet and suggest how to change it and how to implement it. We can also measure your muscle mass and fat mass, your cellular health, your levels of toxicity, biological age, etc., and then compare to how you go after a month. Then by all means contact me, tim@timaltman.com.au, or go to my website, www.timaltman.com.au.